Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that. Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. I am joined again today by David Piatek with VA Housing Education. How you doing, David?
Doing great, Dwayne. And finally get some 90-degree weather. I feel like I'm in Tampa, but I'm in Chicago. So,
Right, but we're going through hurricane season, so it's
yeah.
been raining the last couple of days, and my plants needed it, so I'm not going
Yes.
to complain. So today we are going to be discussing what happens to VA benefits when a veteran passes. And Dave, I can tell you firsthand, I get calls from a lot of spouses that say, "Hey, my husband," or mainly husbands, Vietnam vet passed away. Somebody told me I could get benefits. And I started saying, well, was the veteran service connected? Did the
Yep.
veteran pass away from a service connected condition? They'd be like, I don't know. And they just told me I can get some money. I'm like, well, those things have to be verified first, because if not, meaning they were not service connected, that is a bad compensation to have. So I will start out. I'm going to talk about DIC. I got the M21 pulled up, and I'm just going to read straight from the M21, and then I'm going to go over to a 38 CFR. But before we even get started, everyone, make sure you go over to David's YouTube channel, VA Housing Education. Anything you need to know about VA home loans, I'm pretty sure he has a video on that. Okay. So,
Definitely. And Dwayne, before you go on, let me just add to that. We've done a lot of events in the veteran community, and it's also mind-blowing how many surviving spouses or veterans pass away 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago are didn't remarry, didn't realize that they had the indemnity compensation,
mhm,
and because the veteran qualified for the property tax exemption, they didn't have to pay taxes for all that time. They didn't even realize it, and they've been paying that. So this
right.
is like a pretty big deal, and it's happening more and more. So I just wanted to add to
Exactly.
that because I've seen some crazy stories.
Oh yeah. And I get those phone calls, and I'll tell you, it is a
Yeah.
hard conversation to have. And sometimes they get upset with me. I'm like, hey, I'm just relaying what's on the VA's website. So veterans, you know, if you don't want to do it, get service connected for something for you, do it for your family. So when you're no longer here, they don't have to have a hard conversation with someone. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to start with put my specs on the M21-1. I was doing a video today, Dave, and I say slide number one. I'm going to start calling these receipts, because when people say, Dwayne, you don't know what you're talking about, you've been away from rating a long period of time, you don't know what you're talking about, but I still know how to read. I still know how to research the M21-1, and didn't forget how to do that, right? So the M21-1, dependency and indemnity compensation is a monthly payment made to a surviving spouse, child, or parent because of a service-connected death that occurred on or after January 1st, 1997, or before January 1st, 1957. I'm sorry, what did I say? 1957, or before January 1st, 1957, if the survivor elects to receive DIC in lieu of death compensation. Okay. Now, to a surviving spouse or child, because the veteran had been rated as totally disabled due to a service-connected disability prior to their death, typically for at least 10 years, or to a surviving spouse, child, or parent because of death due to Department of Veterans Affairs medical treatment. Okay, so that first
Wow.
bullet comment, I'm gonna tell you what 1151 is too. To a surviving spouse or child because a veteran had been rated as totally disabled due to a service-connected disability prior to death, typically for 10 years. So the veteran passed away from a service-connected conditions, and they were 100% permanent total, typically 10 years or more. You need your VA rating code sheet. On that code sheet, and I got a video coming up about it, it'll list all the conditions your service connected for, the 4-digit diagnostic code, and the effective date. But Dave, this is the thing. I tell veterans, try to get your highest percentage as soon as possible. Here's why. They count it from that second effective date. So let's just say you were 10% for migraines, I don't know, January 1st, 2000.
Okay.
And then you come in 2025 and go from 0 to 50. That 50% has a new effective date. So it starts over again.
No.
Yeah. So I always tell veterans, especially I had prime example, had a client, Vietnam veteran, he was blue water. And at the time, blue water wasn't part of the presumptive because he was on the ship. He wasn't inland. They turned around and came out with blue water. And he found the ship that he was on, the guns on that ship had a max range of 10 miles. Well, on the blue water, it had to be 12 nautical miles from the shores of Vietnam. He had diabetes, previously denied. The law changed. He comes back in and gets service connected. He was already 100% permanent total. And people say, well, why would he poke the bear? He told me, he said, Dwayne, I know I'm going to pass or die from my diabetes. I want to get service connected so I can get that DIC for my spouse. Makes perfect sense. And it only took him a couple of months and he got service connected. So if you know you have a severe condition like that, you want to make sure you get service connected early as possible because once you're no longer here, and here's another thing, if that claim is on the books, you want to get that claim on the books. So I've seen where veterans claim the ischemic heart disease as Vietnam veterans, right? And they pass away while their claim is still being adjudicated. It's a presumptive condition. The diagnosis was already there. The VA just didn't move fast enough because the veteran was terminal. And here's the thing, under the expedited claims process, financial hardship, the veteran is 85 or older, and if they're terminal and the family didn't even know it.
Wow.
It's little things like that. And I have a video on that. And it's an older video, but I have a video. You know what? I'm going to put it on my vision board and do it again but real quick, the 38 CFR, pretty much it says the same. It's crazy because it says DIC, the term means a monthly payment made by the Department of Veterans Affairs to a surviving spouse, child, or parent because of a service-connected death occurring after December 31st, 1956, or pursuant to the election of surviving spouse, child, in the case of such death occurring before January 1st, 1957. December 31st, 1956, January 1st, 1957. You catch that? Those dates, I just realized that. 1151. 1151, what they're talking about in this instance, the veteran went in to the VA for some particular surgery, and the veteran died from that surgery.
Wow.
As long as it was done at a VA medical center, that would fall on 1151. Now, I would have to do more research, but when I rate it, if the veteran, they have community care, right? If the veteran was outsourced to a third party and the veteran passed, they do not fall under the 1151. But I would have to research that to see if that changed. So what that means is no DIC through 1151 for the family because it was through a third party. But that could have changed. That's something I haven't researched. But, again, at the bottom line, the veteran needs to be service connected. So, David, on the VA home loan side, what do we got?
So when it comes to the VA home loan itself, that is a benefit that can pass on to a spouse if certain criteria is met. And, I don't really know. I mean, I learned some things from you just now because, even though, I'm in the service, I still don't know all of it, right? And this is why we shared this information with the community. What I quickly noticed was the requirements are different for indemnity compensation and for qualifying for VA home loan. So I'm going to read to you guys what it says from the VA handbook. So application for an unmarried surviving spouse, a surviving spouse of a veteran who dies on active duty or from a service-connected cause may still be eligible for a certificate of eligibility. There's some criteria. If the surviving spouse is remarried on or after age 57 and on or after December 16th, 2003, they can still be eligible for the VA home loan. Eligibility may also be granted to spouses of an active duty service member listed MIA or POW for at least 90 days. Now, eligibility under this MIA POW provision is limited to only one-time use. Okay. Only 13% of veterans have ever used their VA home loan. It's a phenomenal product. Some people are all, I don't know why they're so against it. I'm a huge fan of it, and there's like 25 to 50,000 VA loans generated every month. So people, you should definitely get on the bandwagon with it. But a lot of surviving spouses just don't realize this benefit still exists. Now, you can check out my channel because there's all types of properties you could buy with it. You could buy multifamilies, condos. It's a lot of times what we're seeing folks purchase. But when you do this, though, Dwayne, if you could share that screen that I have with you, you do have to fill out the first time you do it, you do have to fill out a request for unmarried surviving spouse, right? So you're going to put in all your information into this, and then you're going to send it over to the VA. So it has your information on top. Then it's going to have the veteran's information, which you should have all that. Any prior loan information that's existing will also go in here. And then the VA is going to get back to you on that. So it's a pretty straightforward form. And I'm also going to link it down below. So that one's good, Dwayne. I appreciate that. And this is why it's also so important to understand from a legal perspective. And I'm not an attorney, but I own a place. And this is something you want to talk with maybe an estate attorney about, maybe putting a home in a trust, right? Because then you have some flexibility, I would say, from personal experience, by the way, to say, okay, hey, something happens to the veteran, we don't have to go through probate. It just kind of stays as long as the mortgage payments are there, the VA loan's locked into that property. That's a positive thing. But because you can't pass your VA loan on to your kids per se, but there is a way that you could do it. If you buy a home and you have your kids assume that loan, you can give them that loan on that house. So there's different ways you can do it. Trust me, you can get real creative, and I'm good at that part. But at least to be able to show you like what you're trying to do, like you have to do it all by the book, but there's so many benefits that you can get with that. And then plus, again, surviving spouse can use the VA loan, purchase a property, and if they have children, they can come in as long as they're qualified, actually assume that VA loan from the surviving spouse. And a lot of times, housing is what builds generational wealth. Like there's trillions of dollars of equity right now out there. They say the average home has 200,000 in equity, which if somebody recently bought a home, they don't. But that just shows you how many people have mortgages that are paid off, one, and how much appreciation has happened over the last 30 years.
Right.
So, so there's just a lot of it. We're going to see also the largest transfer of wealth in the history of our nation coming up. But so definitely check out the benefit. And if you have questions, we've helped a lot of surviving spouses to utilize the benefit. So thanks again for having me on, Dwayne.
Hey, not a problem. Thank you for coming on as usual. So I guess the two key takeaways is on the compensation side, make sure you get service connected. I'm not going to say for everything, but just get service connected. Don't sit there and say, oh, I'm going to suck it up, because when you pass away, you don't want your family sucking it up because Social Security is not going to be enough, and they're rushing out trying to get on Medicare, Medicaid, and all that stuff. And then what I'm hearing you say, David, is use your VA home loan. Go ahead and use it because you can transfer it, or like you say, put it in a trust. There's a way to do it, but they got to take the initial step, right, and use it. So I think that's definitely important. And this is something we hadn't talked about. I've talked about DIC on my YouTube channel, and maybe we can sit down one day and just come up like with a checklist, veteran checklist, and just pass it out for free and let them know and say, hey, you need to put this in your packet. Even for my businesses, I have a corporate folder, and in that folder I have my EIN from the IRS, my articles of organization from the state, and maybe a packet for the veteran where they got the DD 214, last rating decision with the code sheet and maybe some home loan stuff. So when they pass away, they can, family has a packet that they can use. So we got about a minute left, Dave. I'll give the last words to you and close it out for us.
Yeah, no, again, thanks for having me on here. And, like I always say, don't disqualify yourself. I think a lot of veterans too will, and I've seen this situation where veterans go like, oh, wait, I do really need all these benefits. And now I've kind of gone through it myself with a family member. I kind of understand like, oh, like, yeah, Social Security doesn't cover that much. You're kind of blown away actually on what the VA covers. And when you do it at the last minute, if they, you don't want to be short, like you mentioned, right? You finally do it, and then before you even rated, you pass away. But your family doesn't get the benefits. It's sad to see that.
Yeah.
So
as long as
don't
that
wait till
claim
the
is
last
still
minute.
right, as long as that claim is still on the books, and forgive me if I can't think of the name of that form, but the family can actually continue
They can.
that claim. It's a form, I cannot think of it, but like a continuation of benefits or something like that. But still, you don't want to wait till the last minute. You
No.
don't want to be in that category. All right. So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share our videos with your fellow veteran. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.